When Anku awoke, she was no longer on Gilasim. She lay next to a fire, beneath the stars, somewhere within the wastes of the Residuum. Around the fire sat a group of hooded and cloaked figures. In her confusion, Anku called out for Izmi, but the faces that turned towards her seemed cold and unfamiliar. Suddenly, her confusion turned to fear and panic as she remembered the events of Gilasim, and the terrified screams of Unagu tormented her mind. Attempting to calm her, one of the strangers stood and spoke. He gave their names as Zof, Izunge, Hevram, and Tai, knights of the Mem Ittarai Kaskas, the sacred order of the Vortex. They had found Anku's broken body and restored her to life using the Kai Idrana, the true essence, the life force and energy of Yena Salah that permeates the Residuum. It was then that Anku remembered the tales about the Mentarina, those with the power to control the distortion, who could reshape reality and give life to the dead. She wondered if the strangers standing before her now were the legendary Mentarina, revered by Izmi and the Kamshakona. And at that thought she resisted the urge to run and slowly sat down. Anku learned of many things as the knights recounted the events described in the ancient scriptures of Mem Yena Salah, the Khadirige Rana. She listened in terror as they told of the war between the Ubranagi and the Jarige Khalo, the breaking of the Vortex and the awakening of the Ashi Moos, the darkness that would consume the Residuum and bring an end to all of time and reality. Yet there was still hope, as the knights had been tasked with finding the child of the prophecy, and of this they now spoke. In the age of destruction, when most have perished, and the future and the past have been taken, when the living have become barren and desolate like the land, and have no memory of the time before, when the last are consumed by darkness and unknown, and death and decay are all that remain, only then shall the child be found, the one sought by the light and the dark, who has the power to turn the tide of the war and restore all that was lost. The Mem Ittarai believed that Anku and the child were connected. Their bond had been sensed through Rana Idzenai, the broken truth, visions that break through into the thoughts, memories and dreams of those sensitive to the Kai Idrana. It was through Rana Idzenai that Anku had become visible to the Mem Ittarai, and through her so too would the child be found. After the knights had spoken, Anku recounted the events of Gilasim and told them of all that she could remember, from the meeting of Shuni Modachu to their capture and imprisonment within the palace Agusho. But then she spoke of the Rafi Hulur and the one that they worshipped, and as she described the dark visions and the lifeless body of the child that she had beheld under the power of the eye, there was a sudden and terrible realization that Anku was not only visible to the Mem Ittarai, but had been seen by the Jarige Khalo. In searching her thoughts and memories, they would almost certainly know of Unagu's whereabouts, and that the child was alone and unprotected as a prisoner of King Ul Agusho. In the same way that the shadows of illusion had held power over Zonkhar and his people, they would now seek to possess and control Ul Agusho, if they had not done so already. It was agreed that Anku would join the knights on their quest, and in doing so she would be trained in the ways of the Mem Ittarai and learn to channel the Kai Idrana. As dawn approached, they set off into the wilderness of the Residuum in search of Unagu, Alna Inchetsa Bi Emalio, the first and last child of the Kamshakona.